Hello, welcome to the Hofcast episode number 12. 12 straight weeks of girls basketball hoops, and we have a great lineup today. We have a new co-host, Aaron Bach, who coaches at Kettering Fairmont and for Sports City U AAU, and he's probably the best coach on either one of those teams. So it's a pleasure to have you, Aaron. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me tonight, Rich.
So, but we're going to talk about some Dayton area stuff later on in the show. But before we do that, and before we get to any guests, you coached at Kettering Fairmont with Jeremy Finn, good friend of mine. At least maybe he don't feel the same, but I think he's a friend of mine. How did the season go for you guys, and how, just tell us a little bit about that.
So, how everything's going with the world right now, a little crazy. So we only got to play 13 games. COVID kind of really put a damper on our season. In the beginning, we actually, after our last scrimmage, we had to shut down for about a month total. So one part of it was, with COVID on the team, and then the school district decided to have a 2-week pause. And then, we were just fortunate enough to play as many games as we did. I know it's not a normal schedule, but with everything going on, we just wanted to try to play as much as we could.
You guys obviously last year with West Belt, you had the McDonald's All-American and Ohio Miss Basketball. What is it like having to transition from having a squad that has a player of that caliber to no longer having that luxury anymore?
Yeah, the season, it's tough at first because, your offense is geared around. Not only did we have Madeline, but we had another 6'4" post who's now playing at Belmont. So our offense went from more of a post type of offense to more of a dribble drive type motion type offense. So we really had to focus more on our guard play and changed what we did offensively and defensively. And, that's our scrimmages. We were starting to kind of finally click towards our last scrimmage. We had some good momentum, and then we had to shut down. And being a young team, we had no seniors this year. We needed all the practice and reps we could get.
Yeah. Give us – I know you got Mallory Hollinger. You talk a little bit about her and maybe some other kids that maybe we should know about.
Yeah, so Mal, she's actually she's a 3-year varsity player. She was a starter last year on our team on the 25-3 regional runner-up team. So she was a sophomore team captain with Madeline and Madison, and she was our returning player this year. She was our leading scorer at about 13 points a game, second team all-conference. She's one of the better shooters, in my opinion, in the whole state. I think, you saw her game last year at Classic against Glen Oaks. She hit 6 threes. So, she shoots it at a high percentage. She was our do-it-all player for us this year. And then we have a 5'11" sophomore forward who, she played on our JV team last year, and she was honorable mention all conference. And then we have a freshman who she started every game for us this year, and she was also honorable mention all conference. So, the future is bright. We just got to get more reps in.
I'm already getting a text from Bryce. Let's see what he's got to say. We knew he would be listening. Oh, he just said we're starting past his bedtime. I have a hard time believing that.
Bryce doesn't sleep. Don't let him fool you.
I was gonna say I don't think his bedtime is anywhere in the PM hours.
No, he's actually probably just now getting up.
Well, today we have, like we mentioned, great cast today coming on. We're going to start with Coach Leeser from Canton South, and then we have Coach Mark Dent from Copley, and then Chad Adolph from Monroe down in Southwest Ohio. So we're going to cover a good area today, and we're actually going to start with Coach Leeser right now. And I hope I'm pronouncing that name right. I probably should have asked you. I've always called you Leeser my whole life. So
no, that's right. It's Leeser. You got it.
Sometimes, it could be pronounced other ways. So I'm glad I picked right. Well, you met Aaron in the pre-show. pre-show, I guess we'll call that. Coach, you guys are on a roll right now. You are playing in the district semifinals tomorrow. But before we talk about that, I want to talk about what I saw Saturday when you guys played Struthers. And, for people who haven't seen Canton South or didn't see that game, let me tell you, you got those Wildcats playing some defense like crazy. Tell me a little bit about your philosophies and how you've gotten those kids to work on the defensive end at that level.
Well, Rich, I mean, my philosophy flat down is if you don't play defense, you don't play. And I've said that to the girls from day one when I took over. And I'm just lucky enough that the girls buy into that. And they hang on to every word I say. But Saturday, as you said, that was by far the best defense we played all year. And they bought into the scouting report. We went over Struthers for 3 or 4 days. And everything that Struthers run, we were ready for it. But defense is that is absolutely our game. And if we don't play defense, we struggle.
Well, I'll let Coach Nieder know that was your best defensive game. I'm sure he's going to be happy to hear about that.
He should. I mean, we were ready for him, so
he would probably rather not get your best defensive day, but you get what you get, right?
Hey, Rich, can I ask you a question? You know more about Struthers than me. I mean, to us, as I watch film, they live and die by the 3. Am I right?
Well, I mean, their offense is obviously a little different without their best player, Emma. So, I don't know how long they've been without her. So it may be a little tough for them to transition into something different. But from what I've seen, they definitely had a big problem beating anybody off the dribble. You guys had them push back beyond the 3-point line quite a bit for most of the night. Afternoon. It was certainly a great defensive performance from what I've seen. And actually, they were playing great defense too. In the first quarter, I was sitting by Coach Nieder's wife. I turned and I said, I think it's going to be the first team to score 20 here.
Well, that's the way we play. We want to shut teams down. And, we struggle to score sometimes. Our best player tore her ACL the first game of the season 2 minutes into the game.
Mm-hmm.
So as a go-to scorer, we don't really have that this year. So we kind of depend on everybody to put in their points when they get an opportunity.
Another thing about Canton South basketball, and this goes back a couple years, somehow you guys managed to pull some upsets. This year it was Salem. You beat them 24-20, which after watching you play, I completely understand how you won a 24-20 game at this point. I was a little confused when it happened. And then a couple years ago, you beat West Branch twice. What is it like for, a program like you guys to almost regularly get upsets that, people just didn't expect you to win?
It just starts at the defensive end. I mean, I would say 90% of our practices are focused on defense. We focus on what teams are going to do against us, and we try to take that away. I've always been a big believer that a good defense will lead to good offense. So we try to focus on the defensive end and try to take away what teams are going to do, and hopefully that leads to some steals and some easy offense. I mean, that's our goal. Just off of that a little bit, is it you guys always get the big, well, maybe not always, but you've gotten a lot of big wins against conference teams, but it's never equated to a league championship for you guys. You're just kind of always playing the spoiler for somebody else. This year you helped Marlington get back in it. And 2 years ago you helped Salem get the championship by beating West Branch twice. Is that frustrating or is it encouraging, or, how do you approach that and feel? I guess it's frustrating and encouraging at the same time. Obviously everyone wants to win a league championship, but everybody also wants to play their best basketball at the end of the season. And I think we are. I think we're playing the best basketball we've played all year at the end of the season. And I guess that means a little bit more to me is how you're playing at the end of the season.
Most coaches might not agree with that, but I want to play better at the end of the season than we do at the beginning of the season. So, yeah, I mean, I guess we're not playing for a league championship, but we try to compete every game, Rich. And I guess it doesn't matter what game it is, game number 1 or game number 22. But we just want to compete and play the best we can and give the best effort we can.
Coach, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Is the defensive or the games in your area more defensive minded? Because just being in Dayton, we'll probably never have a game where it's 24-20.
Well, Rich, I want you to chime in too to this. I would say I'm going to go first, Rich. I'm going to say probably not. I know when I got this job, the girls were more worried about offense because I know the first day that I took the job, I mean, it was more like an hour and a half of defensive practice. Okay. And they were like, when are we going to try to score? I'm like, well, you know what? You got to defend before you score. So, but Rich would probably have a better answer to that. I coached boys for 20 years. So some of this is still new to me. I'm still trying to learn the girls' game a little bit.
Do you guys still spend that much time in practice on defensive reps and drills?
I would say 75% of our time is on defensive reps. Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I would say there's a lot of teams in there that are defensive minded. A couple that come to mind is West Branch. I mean, they've never been known to score a lot of points, but it's hard to score 35 on them. Hoover's same way. I mean, even this year, Hoover's very much defensive minded, and overall, I mean, shoot, I don't know if there's enough teams that are good enough to kind of choose the way they play, to be honest with you. So, you kind of get what you get. And there are some teams that, and you're one of them, certainly, that it's defense first and we'll figure out how to score it after we hold you to 30 or 35.
That's right.
Coach, you got a big game tomorrow, obviously, against Perry, the number 1 seed. Tell us a little bit about what you're expecting in this game tomorrow and kind of what your game plan is going into it.
Well, to be honest, Rich, I depend a lot on my assistant, Corey Berkwin. That dude, he is an X and O genius. Mm-hmm. He's been watching films for a couple weeks. He's been looking ahead. The big thing that I've noticed about Perry is they're long, they're tall, and they play defense. I'm more worried about us scoring than us stopping them, just because of the way Perry plays defense. They're aggressive. So we're going to approach it as, hey, you know what? Play as hard as you can, cut as hard as you can, come meet the pass. More of like the simple things that you think of when it comes to basketball, when it comes to Perry, because, I mean, they do everything the right way. And I told you, Rich, that team is loaded.
Yeah, they are.
I mean, that team has got some players, and the more film I watch from players 1 through 9, those girls can play. And that worries me a little bit just because they're so deep on the bench too. So we try to wear teams out with our speed and our aggressiveness, and that's going to be a hard team to wear down.
Well, I think because of your history of coming up with some big wins against teams like we talked about, I don't think Perry is going to be overlooking you by any stretch. A lot of, the phone lines are working right now with the districts going on, and everybody's asking me, do you think South has a chance? And my answer every single time is they beat Salem, and they're the number 2 seed in that district. I mean, if there's anybody who can pull that upset, I would say Kansas South is right up there with anybody who might be able to pull one out, especially because of your defensive mindset. I mean, you really disrupt people, and that's a key. If you can keep disrupting people, it takes them longer to get in the groove. And the longer that happens, the more you guys give yourself a shot. So, I will be keeping an eye on the score for sure. And like I said, if there's anybody who can do it, it's you guys.
Well, thanks, Rich. And we appreciate everything you do for girls basketball. We appreciate it.
Well, I'm not done yet.
I know you're not, but I wanted to make sure I got that in.
But here is my last question.
Yeah.
I mean, is this your 3rd year there now?
Yes.
3rd year. When people think or check in on Kansas South basketball, what is your hope that people see or take away from you and your program?
My gosh, look, they shut that team down to 20 points. My gosh, they took that score away. I mean, for me, it's all about defense. And that's the coaches I've been around. That's the coaches I had growing up. It's all about defense. I mean, Bobby Von Kennel was one of my coaches growing up, and it was always a focus on defense. And Lord knows how many games he's won.
Yeah.
And it just, to me, it's got to be defense first, offense second. And hopefully that's what people see when they look at our scores, like, man, they did a great job again. So it is what it is. I'm just a big guy that if you play defense, wins will take care of themselves.
Well, we've had Roy on the show twice. He was on a normal episode, and then when we had the tournament episode, he was on it. And you guys are both good dudes, so I know it's going to be a solid game. And win or lose, there's going to be a good dude continuing. There's going to be a good guy that's unfortunately got to go home. But, Coach, I want to thank you for your time, and best of luck tomorrow. Definitely. Anytime a Stark County team can advance, I'm happy.
Hey, thank you very much, Rich. I appreciate everything.
All right. And tell Tegan I said have a good night, and don't be getting in trouble in school tomorrow.
Come here. Hey, Rich, she wants to say good night to you.
Oh, man.
Come here. Hurry up. Come here. Tell Rich who's going to win tomorrow. Is Daddy going to win? Mm-hmm. All right. Say Dad's going to win.
Tegan, are you the ball girl?
Sometimes, huh?
Well, you better sit on that bench tomorrow and give Dad some good luck.
Okay.
It's bedtime, Rich.
All right, guys. We'll talk to you soon. Good luck tomorrow, Coach.
Good luck to you, Mark.
Nice meeting you, Aaron.
Pleasure meeting you.
The little ab lib there. I didn't expect that, but we'll take it.
I had a cameo appearance.
Anytime she might think she's famous and on TV now.
You're gonna be the story of second grade tomorrow.
She's gonna have more followers than I do in a couple weeks.
Probably.
So we have. Oh man, I was gonna have Coach Dent call in, but I lost my text.
Coach Bryce McKee wants to be a guest on one of these if he's so lucky enough.
Does he?
He just texted me and said he wants to be on the show. That'd be a treat.
We might be able to make that happen. Maybe when we're done, after we get done with Coach Adolph, maybe we'll make sure Bryce can call in. And I mean, we got Bree Hall that just got McDonald's All-American. He's coached her for a couple of years. So
yeah, Bryce has had Bree for I think the last 3 or 4 seasons. So
I mean, you have had the opportunity to coach 2 McDonald's All-Americans. So we'll talk about that a little bit later in the show, but that's not something too many people get to do. So we are now going to be talking to Coach Dent. He's in the car somewhere, probably driving home from scouting a game, because this dude has 2 jobs at Copley, and he is the girls coach and the boys coach. Coach Dent, how are you?
Good. How are you tonight?
Oh, shoot. Something's going wrong here. Let's see if I can figure this out. All right, there we go. Whoop. Wrong button. Coach, can you hear me?
I can.
There we go. Look at that. I'm getting good at this.
All right.
Coach, we just mentioned that my first question has got to be, how stressful is it, or how tough or easy, whatever direction this is going to go in, to be the boys and the girls coach at the same time?
You know, I've done it for 4.5 years, so I'm kind of used to it at this point. Obviously, I control the gym time, so it's, if the girls go after school, the boys go after, or vice versa. Games are typically on different nights. My girls did advance to the district semis here tomorrow night, and my boys actually had a sectional game tomorrow night because the girls are Division II, the boys are Division I. So they had the same night, same time. So we had to bump the boys one day. So that's the first conflict. that I've had in really 100 games. So it hasn't been too bad.
That's pretty impressive that it took that long to have a conflict. I'm glad it was something that they could take care of, because they're both playing in very meaningful games. How did that situation come about? I mean, I know a little bit about it, but our listeners may not, and they may not know anybody who coaches the boys and girls both. How did that situation come about for you?
So I was the boys' head coach at the time. My daughter was a freshman on the girls' basketball team. During the middle of her freshman year, the coach was let go, and they needed somebody to coach the next day. And they came to me and asked me if I would. I said, I'd love to, but I don't want to coach just now. I'd like to coach, for several years. I thought it was a great opportunity. Mm-hmm. So most people assumed that when my daughter graduated last year that I would leave the girls, and that's not the case. I enjoy the girls as much as I enjoy the boys, and both programs are super young right now. We've got 9 of our starters, our freshmen or sophomores. So bright future ahead and good kids on and off the court. So I don't want to give up either team, and I'm hoping that I don't have to.
Well, through the years, I've had several people who say, I heard Coach Den is giving up the girls after this year, or he's I'm sure he's going to stick with the boys. And from our talks, you've always said the same thing that you just told our listeners. I mean, you are definitely very interested in keeping the girls. It doesn't sound like anybody's going to make you make a decision quite yet. What is it that keeps you going, knowing that you have very, very long days? I mean, for literally 5 months solid.
People ask me if I was burned out doing it, and really the answer is no. I mean, when you love doing something, obviously I know how much you love basketball and how much you give to the kids and the time you put into it. It's just a passion that I think that we have, and I love being in the gym. It's certainly a different game, boys to girls. Obviously, the pace is a little bit different. I'm fortunate to have some really good kids right now, not just talent-wise, but just great kids. And I look forward to going to practice. This is a tough time of year because it's one and done. Mm-hmm. And I'm certainly not ready for it to end yet. I've got a son on the boys team who's a senior. It's my last one that I will have coached. And, both the boys and girls have an opportunity to hopefully make a run here in this tournament. I know I was asked by the reporter after Bookdale's game Saturday with my girls, and they asked me, boy, you could be really good in a couple of years. I said, we could be really good this year. We started off the year with the COVID stuff and missing players and injuries, and, start up 2-2. And, we've gone 13-3 since. So there's no reason that we can't make a run. Really tough game tomorrow night, at Norton. We all know how good they are. Mm-hmm. But we're going to give it everything we got.
That was going to be my next question. You got Norton tomorrow, and that's probably your biggest challenge of the year, possibly. What are you looking at going into the game to try to keep that thing close and pull an upset?
For our girls, we hadn't really had that signature win yet, and we were able to beat Wadsworth, about a month ago, which for us was obviously, everybody knows their program. That was a big win for us, and turn around and beat West Geauga and Brunswick and, Bookdale to be able to pull that off. And, people want to say that, Bookdale's not as good as they've been. They're still a good team. And for our program, that was a good win. So we know what we have to do going into Norton. Obviously, they're going to pressure you full court, take care of the ball. They've got great guards. They got, player of the year inside. So strength versus strength, she's talented inside. Our best player is our center too. So I think it's going to be a pretty even matchup. Both teams are young. We lost to them last year by 1 point at home. I know last year means nothing, but we only have one common opponent. If you go off that stuff, that was Wadsworth. We both won. So it's, with 10 minutes apart. I don't know that Copley plays Norton in very many sports. So I think it's going to be a great atmosphere, even though there's going to be limited fans. I still think it's going to be a fun game.
Coach, I have a question for you. So you coach both girls and boys. Do you run the same type of things philosophy-wise, offense and defense for both?
That's what the girls' philosophy's been, to run more sets with the girls, not let them freelance as much as I've done with my boys. We certainly run a few things the same, but we're more of a half court man / zone team with the boys. The girls will actually get up and press and full court and diamond press and half court, and we'll play 7 or 8 defense with the girls. So that's a good question. I get asked that a lot, but truthfully, we don't. We may run a couple inbound plays that are the same, a couple different sets, but I've got different personnel, different spots that are better in each team. So we don't run a ton of stuff the same.
Coach, if you had to make a choice, this might be a tough question, but I ask the tough questions. If you had to make a choice, which team would you continue with if they made you decide?
That's too loaded of a question. I'm asked that every day. So I'm going to say what I always say. I love my boys and I love my girls, and I have no intention of leaving either team unless I'm told I have to. How's that for me?
That works. I've told somebody about the show we were going to have tonight, and I mentioned you, and they asked their question for me, and I clearly couldn't answer it. They wondered if sometimes you save some time or, and practice with both teams together.
Never. Especially this year with the COVID thing, we weren't going to mix teams, but they're all really close. The boys go to the girls' games and sit up top by the video cameras. I've got, 8 camera, guys, if you know what I mean, to film the girls, and 8 girls that film the boys so they can all sneak in the game. So I probably shouldn't say that on the air, but it is the reality of it.
Trust me, you're not the only coach or school that's rigging up some jobs to get people in the gyms.
A lot of staff people, camera people, door holders, whatever you want to call them.
Ball sanitizers.
There you go. I agree with you.
Tell us about a couple kids. Sorry, Aaron might have had a question. I cut him off, but
no, that's all right.
Give me a couple names. I'm aware of some of your top players, but just for our listeners, we have people listening from all over Ohio. Give us a couple names of kids that we should probably know and get familiar with.
So for the girls' side, I returned 3 starters from last year, starting with the inside post, Ashley Carrigas. She's averaging 18 and almost 8 rebounds right now as a sophomore. Shelby Emick, my 2 guard, was averaging about 10 points a game up till about 2 weeks ago. She's probably around 8 right now. She's one of our smartest defenders and probably our best outside shooter. Victoria McKnight, she started for us last year, has started this year. Has had to make a huge change. She was a 4 last year, has played a lot of the 1 this year for us, or the 2. Mm-hmm. So she's made the adjustment quite well. So all 3 kids, great kids, smart on the court, 4.0 students in the classroom too. So super easy to get along with, and I enjoy being with them, and I couldn't see not coaching them at any point.
Go ahead, Aaron. Did I cut you off last time?
No, you're good.
I want to ask with, kind of a little bit, that big game tomorrow. You've had a lot of experience, obviously, coaching 2 teams for the last several years. What are some of your favorite memories as far as I know your boys' team made a really long tournament run a couple of years ago. What are some of those, you get an opportunity to coach 2 teams. What are some of those favorite memories that you've had while you've been doing this?
Yeah, 3 years ago, my son was a senior, and we made a run. We were 16-6. We were the 5 seed, turned around and made it to the Elite 8, and ended up losing to Solon, who ended up losing in the state championship. That was a great memory, winning the league 3 years in a row, winning the district, beating Jackson at the time, who were the current state champions. I've coached the boys a lot longer, so I've got more memories. When I took over the program, it's the girls, it was definitely rebuilding. I knew it was going to take a couple years to get where I thought we could be. We finally are starting to reach that point. The boys won the league championship last Friday night. So that was our 4th in 6 years. My son's a senior. That's a big deal. People think you coach because your son plays. I've coached for 21 years, and I've only had my sons for 4 years. The other 17, I didn't have them. And as you can probably imagine, it's not the easiest thing coaching your kid while you live in the community. It can be difficult at times.
Absolutely. And you've had a son on the boys team and a daughter on the girls team, so you had it on multiple teams in a year. So
yeah, last year my son started for the boys and my daughter started for the girls at the same time. So it was interesting.
Well, Coach, I want to thank you for your time. I know that you have a very unique perspective on this basketball thing that we love so much. One of these days, I might have to get up there and see this amazing court I keep seeing on social media that you have at your house. And there's no wonder your kids can get after it on the court because they never get to leave practice.
No, it's I would love to have you up. You're invited any day you want.
I appreciate that, Coach. And hey, good luck tomorrow. We'll be pulling for you. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but
no, I appreciate it. It'll be a good competitive game. Good, friendly rivals. And Coach Miller's a great coach. Does an awesome job. I consider him a friend of mine, and it'll be a good night. And hopefully we're able to pull out the win and advance to Saturday.
Absolutely, Coach. Well, thank you for your time. I know you're a very busy guy with double the workload than most people have. So thanks for making time for us tonight. Good luck tomorrow.
Thanks, Tom. I appreciate it. Anytime. Have a good night.
All right, bye.
Bye.
We have Coach Adolph here waiting. Coach, we'll get to you here in a minute. I don't know if you're sitting in a basketball court or there's a basketball court background, but I can't wait to get you up here so I can see that. But we actually have a unexpected caller to the show. It is not Bryce McKee, but we have John Bozica on the line, who used to be my co-host, but he actually did the Glen Oak game tonight with New Philly. How you doing, John?
Good, Richie. How are you doing tonight, man?
Man, I'm doing excellent. This is not a convenient night to have this show, considering there's all kind of basketball tonight. But
man, a lot of good basketball too. Hoover picking up a win over the likes of Brush tonight. I know Hoban defeated Aurora tonight. Nice win for them. They'll hook up in a district final, and then you have McKinley and Stowe both winning. They'll hook up in a district final, and I got to tell you, Rich, I mean, Glen Oak, I don't know how, I don't know what Paul Wackerly puts in the water inside the locker room, but they figure it out year after year. They played a really rough first half, and then in the second half, Breezy Williams was amazing. She went off. She had, I think, a 17-point night, and it's noticeable that Anaya Hall is close to 100% now. She was as good as she's been in the last 2 years. She made a play in the second half. She dove to the floor, dished it to Breezy, who then found Jordan underneath, and just, Glen Oak walked down into their rhythm tonight. It was tough to stop them.
Well, what made it such a close game? And I saw New Philly was up after the first quarter. What was New Philly doing that kind of slowed down Glen Oak, at least for a little bit?
Well, they were hitting their 3-point shots. Lily Goodwin scored 9 points in the first quarter for New Philly. She had a 4-point play, and then she was held scoreless the rest of the way. So her play early on was huge. I know Callie Barker hit a 3 in the first quarter. Ajaya Shareffler made a couple of really nice plays. They were just contributing, and we ran into Coach Cornell afterwards, and he just said that once the floodgates kind of opened, he said we tried calling timeout, we tried slowing it down, and as you know so well from seeing Glen Oak over the years, Rich, they have a way of pressuring you, and once that pressure forced New Philly's hand, and they had trouble getting across the timeline, and Breezy Williams and Anaya Hall were jumping the passing lanes. They couldn't sell into their half-court offense. And really, even though Ajaya Shareffler, I think, had 11 tonight, it was a quiet 11. She never really got into the flow of the game because Jordan Weir at 6'5" just kind of dominated the post.
Yeah. Well, you probably know this. I'm sure you do. Green upset Nordonia tonight, and they're on
see that.
quite a run. Now we have game 3 of Glen Oak and Green coming up. What are you anticipating there?
Yeah, I mean, I think Green's playing really, really well right now. I mean, I noticed that Bree Hunt had another really good game tonight for them, and I've always been a big fan of Alyssa Zeeler. I think she's one of the best bigs, not just in the Federal League, but really in the area. I think she's excellent. I think the question becomes, can they use those weapons? Can they use Alyssa? Can they use Bree to kind of force the hand of Glen Oak? It's an interesting matchup, too, because if I'm not mistaken, Alyssa and Breezy Williams, I think, play on the same AAU team a lot of times with Emma Trekkie, too. So there's that, like, added element to it. It's two of the best players in that class kind of squaring off against each other. So I just think the question becomes, can Coach Manning figure out a way to get Alyssa involved and slow down what Glen Oak's doing so well, which is using their bigs. They have 2 bigs that are both athletic and both can score, and if you can stop them, you can win. But stopping 6'5" is a lot different than stopping, a 5'11" big from another school. It's an animal that teams don't have to deal with, and Glen Oak forces your hand.
Well, I know that I saw Green just beat Jackson. I was at the game on what was that, last Wednesday, maybe not.
Yeah, right. Thursday, Wednesday,
they all run
somewhere
into each other now, but. Zeeler and Olivia Payne, I thought, played the best game that I had seen both of them play. So that is really good for Green going into this game. So are you guys going to do that game, or are you going to be somewhere else on Friday, or do you know yet?
No, we're going to do that game. I decided immediately afterwards that I can't run away from 2 Federal League teams on the same night, and it's interesting. I didn't think that when I saw this bracket come out, Rich, and I guess it's no offense to Green, but I thought it was going to be Jackson, Glen Oak at this point, and not Green. And but hey, I mean, it's tournament time, and we talked to Anaya Hall after the game on the broadcast, and even she said she's excited to play Green because they seem to be playing their best ball of the year, and that's what you want to get at this time of year. Last year it was Hoover that made a run after a 500 regular season. This year, Coach Manning has it figured out, and her girls are playing good ball. And again, I think you have a lot of stars with, Payne and Hunt and Zeeler on the floor for Green. And obviously, we know Glen Oak's starting 5 is just kind of a great group that works together so well.
Well, I'm glad that you're going to be doing that game. I'll be listening because I'll be up at Stowe McKinley most likely.
That was my second. That was my second choice, Rich.
I will definitely be listening to you, John. I appreciate you calling in and giving us some perspective on that game. And we'll definitely be in contact again. Hopefully, maybe next week. Maybe we can talk about some local games next Tuesday night. What do you say?
Yeah, that'd be great. As long as there's not a game that night that we have to do on there.
You probably will be, boys or girls. So I'll catch you on the drive home again.
Sounds good. I appreciate it, Rich. Be safe, okay, man?
Take it easy, John. Thank you.
Yep, bye.
All right. I'm going to get out of these headphones now that all the phone calls are gone. So bear with me for a second. Switch over my mic. Can you hear me, Aaron?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Awesome. We got Coach Adolph ready to come on. Head coach of Monroe. Coach, are you really sitting in the gym, or is that
guys? No, it's just a little backdrop. I figure if I'm coming on your podcast, I got to do it right? Aaron, how you doing, my man?
I'm good. How are you, Coach?
Good. Appreciate the opportunity to come on, guys.
You definitely have the coolest backdrop of anybody who's ever been on this show.
Coach is tech
Except
savvy.
for maybe my Zion uniform.
Yeah, that's a nice one. I like that one. For sure.
That is definitely the most creative. Coach, I appreciate you coming on. We try to spend as much time in Southwest Ohio as possible. So it's always nice to get some different perspectives. I know you guys had your tournament game last night. Is that right?
We did. Yeah, we had our sectional final, district semifinal game last night against Princeton, and Princeton was by far the better team last night, and they took it to us. And we picked a bad night to have a bad game to have a bad game, quite frankly. But it was an awesome experience for our youthful squad. I mean, we've got such young kids that just play hard, and to make a run and be one of the final, what was it, 26 teams in the Southwest District competing. It was an awesome opportunity for our kids. So it was a lot of fun to be a part of.
Well, tell us.
Coach, correct me if I'm wrong. You guys are smaller D1, right?
We're actually, if I'm not mistaken, we are, I think, the sixth smallest Division I school in the state of Ohio.
You guys just recently moved to Division I not that long ago.
This was our second year. Last year was our first year playing in the Division I tournament. We got ousted last year in the first round, learned from it, and said, you know what? Let's see what we can do this season. And the draw set up the way we kind of wanted it to, and our girls showed up and got really, really good wins first and second round, and set us up for our school's first ever Division I sectional final appearance.
Wow. That was going to be my next question. You know, someone like me, I mean, I see you guys on Twitter and social media a little bit, but I don't obviously know how your whole season went. You're the first coach that we've actually talked to with, after their season had ended. Could you just give us a little bit of a recap about how your season went this year?
Well, I wish I wasn't the first coach that you talked to or their season had ended. I wish we were still playing, obviously, but I'll tell you what, I mean, just the fact that we got a season, that we got to play this year with everything that was going on and all the adversity that everyone faced this year, just to have the opportunity to get on the court. I mean, when we look back to March and we were setting up Zoom calls with the girls and not knowing what, if, when, were we ever going to get back on the court, to then fast forward to now to say that if you'd have told me back in March that we were going to be playing for a sectional championship in Division I, I've been like, I don't know if that's going to be happening just because of the situation. And so we, at Monroe, we've also got an incredible soccer program that's hugely successful. Coach Williams has built that thing up, and we have great athletes on our basketball team that are also incredible soccer players. So they made a deep push into their soccer tournament, and which then led us to only having our core group for literally 3 practices before our first game of the season. So we started off a little bit slow for the first couple of games, and it showed, and just slowly built up throughout the year, and then had a great opportunity to play in the Journey this year against Lakota East, and it was a huge win for us. And that was kind of it was a big game in terms of our girls finally realizing, in our second year Division I, going, you know what, we can play with these schools. We can step up in big environments. And it was an overtime game, which was huge experience for us going down the stretch. So, we play in the SWBL, and we've got at the top of our league this year was Bellbrook, which we split with them throughout the season. They, at one point in time, they were ranked 6th in the state in Division I. And then Valley View, who actually just won their sectional final tonight over Alter, in what ended up being a really close. Valley View was up, I think maybe 11, 12 points at half. Alter came back and got it within 1 with about 16 seconds to go, I think. And Valley View hit big free throws. Abigail Dixon knocked a couple down at the end to win it. So district champs last year, they're going back to district this year. So, Carlisle, who's also in the other division in our league, they're fighting. They're going for district finals in their division. So the SWBL is, it's becoming very competitive. Being able to, we faced throughout the season a mid-season shutdown right after Lakota East game because of COVID protocols. So we were we had to shut our entire program down for 2 weeks. So, facing all that adversity and then to play our best basketball towards the end of the season, overcoming all that. I was really proud of our squad this year.
You are also there's another first that you've accomplished tonight, and it's the first dude that's had a bigger beard than I have.
I don't know. I've seen yours. Yours is pretty nice. When you
it's gone. So now I'm trying to catch up with everybody else again. But Coach, I want to ask you, what are a couple of the staples of your program that you preach on a daily basis, and some of those things that really carry the foundation for you guys?
We've got 5 core values in the program, but our first 2 are together and tough. This is my second year as head coach at Monroe, and I've told the girls all season long that if there is one word, one adjective that either our opponent, someone in the media that's watching the game, one word that they could use to describe us after they've seen us on the floor, that word's got to be tough. There's the saying that the toughest team is the one that's always going to win the game, and that to me encompasses not just the physical aspect of it, but the mental aspect of the game. We've really preached the next play mentality this year for the squad, and moving on. I mean, you're not going to see me screaming at girls for making a mistake 3 possessions ago when I'm wanting them to focus on that next possession. You miss a shot, sprint back down, give me a rebound, give me a defensive stop. So, those are the 2 really the big staples that playing together, being great teammates, investing in each other. And we really saw a lot of growth this year in our players, really starting to buy into that, and especially the toughness aspect, moving on to the next play, and really playing together. And that contributed to our success in the tournament run. Players that were passing up good shots for great shots, getting that one more pass to a teammate. When they could have jacked up a shot themselves, wouldn't have been a bad look, but we got a better look because of it. So those are two big ones for us. We talk about our accountability and being selfless, and again, especially this season, just being thankful for every opportunity that we have and the people that invest in us.
Coach, I just want to add that I watched your guys' game against Lakota East at Journey.
Yeah.
And that word that you just used, tough, described your team, I would say, perfectly, because if I remember correctly, East hit a questionable 3 at the buzzer to send it into overtime, and your girls just responded. That's a could be a momentum-changing thing towards that team's favor, and you guys just you regrouped in the in the timeout. You guys came back out, and you just finished the job. And I mean, I think your team does a great job. Like you said, you're young. Your 2 best players, in my opinion, are sophomores. And I mean, your future is very bright. Beating a West Claremont and a Walnut Hills, and then making it to a game, that district finals or semifinals. And Lakota East pulled up the upset again as a 19th seed, going to play in a district final Saturday. So
yeah, they did. No, I appreciate that. It's just to have the opportunity to play in the Journey itself. I mean, it's so well run. I mean, it's one of the best. The best high school events in the country, if not the best, and along with the Classic, and then to get an opponent like that, and the girls were down 7 points at one point against East, and our program's another first for our program, being in an event like that and fighting back and having an opportunity at the end to be up 3 points, and I'll tell you the 3-point shot they knocked down, yeah, it was well after the buzzer. And my players came off the floor going, Coach, she didn't get that thing off. And, we told them right then and there, like, we don't control the events that happen to us. Only a reaction. We're going in overtime. Let's get it done. So, and they responded. They responded well.
For those of us, I mean, Aaron knows your squad a little bit. A lot of us around the state may not. Can you give us a couple players that I like asking this to a lot of the coaches that come on because whether I know them or not, there's a lot of viewers. We'll get a couple hundred people to watch the show that may not know anything about Monroe. Give us a couple of your top players that maybe we should know and pay a little bit of attention to.
Well, as Aaron said, I've got our squad is loaded with sophomores and freshmen. We graduate 2 seniors this year. They're incredible. Matter of fact, I just got a picture today from one of my seniors when she walked off the floor last night's game. She comes straight down the line and gives me a big hug. And to me, that picture that she sent to me there was the best photo of the entire season because of the relationship that was built. And of course she's checking on me, asking me how I'm doing after the game. But we'll miss those 2 seniors, Brooke Frazier and Alyssa Beckett. But our 2 sophomores, Paige Frazier and Brooklyn Miltenberger, they're super softs. I mean, to play the way that they're playing at a sophomore level and being the leading scorers on our squad is pretty impressive. I mean, 10 points apiece per game. They started for me last year as freshmen. Again, 20, 28 plus minute a game kids. They play for Dayton Lady Hoop Stars in the spring and summer. So we're looking forward to watching their growth, and I'll go watch some of their games during the summertime and support them for that. And and then we got Cadence Boyd, who she's a 5 point per game scorer, but she is that point guard that coaches just love to have. The growth. She didn't get a season last year because of illness. She had to sit out an entire sophomore season. So she comes back as a junior, and she did the stuff that doesn't show up in a stat book, and it's because of that stuff that she's got college now saying, hey, we want to talk to her. And it's the on-ball defense, putting that pressure on the opposing point guard. The toughness that she has, constantly having that. As soon as she gets that outlet pass, her head is up the floor looking for her teammate. And so, having those 3 back with 2 freshmen, that one can just, Saf, if her feet are set, she's a 33+% shooter from the outside. And then PC Peyton, she's going to be a special kid too. So we're excited about the future. I mean, I'm really looking forward to this offseason because having gotten where we got this year, I think we're going to have a lot of young kids that are going to be hungry to say, you know what, we want to get back there. And those are the kids on our squad. But I got to tell you, man, Southwest Ohio, we are loaded with talent down here. I mean, it's a lot of fun to watch some of these kids. Tonight, Lakota East, Sarah Seawick goes off for 26 points. I mean, I think she buried 4 from beyond the arc, which was huge. She had over a half of Lakota East's points. Mm-hmm. I mean, over half in a district semifinal. So, you got kids like that. There's some kids that, from down this way, they're going to be coming up to some of your showcases too. That are some special kids. We've got a lot of talent down here in Southern Ohio for sure.
Well, you beat me to the punch because my next question was to put you on the spot. All right. And I like to do this with coaches out of my area. With your kids not included, because we've already talked about them, give us 3 names from the area that not kids that, I mean, we know Chance Gray, we know Old Acker, we know a lot of the big name kids. Give us 3 names that maybe some people around the state of Ohio should know but don't know.
Well, I think Erin should be familiar with this one at the Journey. Her stock, I think, is just exploded after her performance, not only there but this season. A shooting guard out of Centerville, Anna Grimm. She is lights out from the outside. I think she shoots over close to 40% from the 3-point line. That she has been really solid and helped Cody and Velasco up there, and she's going to be a big reason why they're going to continue to make a deep push into the tournament. When you have a threat like that to go with the talent that Centerville has, if I was an opposing coach, I don't know how I prep for that. I really don't. That's a tough prep.
And I just want to add, she comes off the bench for them.
Yeah.
So she makes it very hard on the scouting report because you got to account for her, and she's not a starter.
Absolutely.
We had the pleasure of seeing her twice, unfortunately. So
Yeah, no, she's she's a really good one. You've man, Rich, I could go all night long with kids in Southern Ohio.
Well,
that's Rich. Can I throw one out there?
What's that?
Can I throw one out there?
You're gonna have your time.
All right.
When we get rid of Chad after he gives us two more, then you're gonna have the center stage there, Mr. Bach.
All right.
I need Chad to give me two more names, and it's not easy. I know. Trust me, when I go on other people's shows or the radio.
You know what? I'll give you another name. She is leading her squad right now. They just won their sectional finals last night. Sarah Ox out of Carroll High School. The kid is probably averaging 20 a game in the tournament right now. She is there. I think they won their district last year, and she's a huge reason why they're going straight back there. So that's another one. There's in our league, a big reason why Valley View is continuing to go on is Claire Henson. She's another special kid that I think a lot of people are going to continue to watch. There's a freshman out of Talawanda, Kylie Fears. She plays with the Angels in the spring and summertime. She averages a double this year as a freshman. Really talented kid. There's a shooter out of Fenwick, Madeline Mahoney. She set school records this year for single season 3 points, single game 3 points. Helped her squad get to the sectional finals this year. A tough kid there. Edgewood, some of their success can be attributed to Jessica Moore, a really talented guard that stepped up and played huge minutes for them this year. You've got
I got a name for you guys, and this is not a kid that I'm familiar with, so that's why I'm actually happy I got two of you Southwest guys. Kelly Griffin.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not familiar with her at all. I've heard some things about her. Someone told me she's averaging like 8 points, 7 assists, and she's pretty good. I should pay attention.
Coach will know her a little bit better than I do because we scrimmage them, and I don't get to see enough of her because if you just look at her stats, it might not tell the whole story. So
I got to tell you, so
assist in high school is pretty awesome.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, she is. So we split this year with Bellbrook in the conference. I mean, it's a big rival for us, and she prepping for them this year. That she was my concern. They had Bailey Zerby, who she just got an offer to go next level. Was probably an underrated kid, really really high performing, scoring point leader, got player of the year for the SWBL. They got Drian Price, who's super quick, but the kid that worried me, and when we prepped for game day, was Griffin, because not only does she dish that ball extremely well and drop dimes, she can shoot. She's a threat from the outside too. So she's a really, really special kid, great teammate, tough player on defense. And I think a lot of squads, when they prepped for Bellbrook this year, overlooked her. And that was a big reason for our when we faced them the second time, why we were able to win that game, was because we weren't going to overlook Griffin at all. So she's a really strong player.
Well, Coach, I appreciate your time. We have had some recent conversations, and I definitely want to. I really like a lot of things that we've talked about, and I plan on touching base with you again soon. And at some point when the season ends, I mean, we're definitely going to switch gears and do some AAU stuff. So I would love to get you on and talk some all-in hoops with you and get to know your program a little bit and go from there. But again, I appreciate your time tonight, and thanks for all the information.
No, I appreciate you having me on, Rich. Look forward to it again. Good seeing you, Aaron.
It's nice seeing you as always.
All right, Coach. Have a good night.
All right, you take care now. All
right, the moment you've been waiting for, Aaron. Now, This is your stage. Give me some Dayton area hoopers.
So there's one kid that I want to talk about first that probably not a lot of people know about. She caught my attention at Journey to the Tourney. She plays at Lebanon. You know, they historically have always had a good program. They have a kid, Kendall Foley, who's going to play at Oakland, and they just lost, I believe, to Lakota East tonight. But they have a sophomore who's probably about 5'6", who's a really good shooter, in my opinion. Her name's Kira Rogers. I think she hit 4 or 5 threes in their Journey game. I mean, if you see this kid play, I mean, she's got perfect form. You can shoot it.
Her name again? I swear I heard somebody sneeze when you said her name.
No, it's Kira Rogers, I believe. I think I'm saying that right.
Okay.
And so I think she plays for the Cincy Chargers. And she's got perfect form, and she can really shoot it. She's probably a kid not a lot of people know about. So hopefully she has a good spring and summer and can kind of get on some coaches' radar.
All right, there's one. Give me a couple more.
There's a kid, I'm sure she's probably known more than people would think, but she plays at Lakota East. Her name is Savannah Smith. She's a Mount Notre Dame transfer. She plays for the Angels in the spring and summer, and I think her stock will really rise. Probably a D1 kid. She's got good size, can shoot it, can handle it, can do a little bit of everything. So she's a kid that I would look to see, you know, her stock really rise, and I just really like watching her game. It's really smooth. So there's one that I don't think a lot of people may know about, at least across the state.
Well, you're doing a great job so far because I've never heard of either one of these kids so far. So,
and I think they're kids, though. If you saw, you would agree with me.
Oh, there's no doubt I would. I always love finding new kids and seeing what these kids can do. Can you give me a third one that I never heard of?
That you never heard of?
Yeah. There's your challenge.
There's my challenge.
2 for 2.
Yeah, I'll give you one. There's actually a freshman at Wayne, and Wayne is loaded right now. They start 4 D1 kids, but they have a freshman named Morgan Rose, and she plays for West Virginia Thunder in the spring and summer for their 24 team, and she played our JV team, and so I think she had probably 25, and it was an easy 25. And in my opinion, you know, if Wayne doesn't have as much talent as they do, she's a varsity kid for sure. And so she's a kid. She can drive, defend, shoot. She can do a little bit of everything. So there's a kid I think people will start to get to know more of when she has those opportunities for her at Wayne.
Let's shift a little bit to teams.
Okay.
I mean, clearly we're in the districts for tournaments. Maybe even some of the divisions down there. I know there was some games last night. I know that because I know Highland. Coach Kuzi called me on his way to Purcell Marion. So I know there was some games down there, but you know, we're well into the district round. Who are some of the teams that you feel can get through the districts and maybe even through regionals? Obviously, Mount Notre Dame.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's where the conversation has to start and end, is with Mount Notre Dame. I mean, I think it's now 65 straight games they've won. I think it would be 3. If last year didn't happen, in my opinion, they would have won the state again. So that would have been 3 in a row. So, you know, the conversation has to start with them. But I think, honestly, Mason and Springboro will play each other, and I think that's going to be a knockout game. And I think Mason has a good shot to reach the regional final, and you can never count out Wayne or Centerville. So, you know, there's some really good talent, some really good teams, and it's just going to be a knockout. You got to bring your A game when you get to this time in the tournament.
So if you had to pick one team that could knock off Mount Notre Dame, who would it be? You can't buffer your answer and give me 2 or 3 answers. You have to pick one team that you think has the best chance of knocking off Mount Notre Dame. Who is it?
I'm going to have to go with Huber Heights Wayne. I mean, they've got the McDonald's All-American and Bree Hall. She's probably going to be Miss Ohio and Gatorade Player of the Year. So I'm gonna put it on her back and say Wayne can come through.
Okay, we're going to go lightning round.
All right.
Clearly, you think Mount Notre Dame is going to win their district.
Yep.
But you got Lakota East, Coleraine, and Turpin. Who has the best shot of giving Mount Notre Dame a run for their money of those 3 teams?
Lakota East.
Lakota East. All right. Well, hopefully they can get past Coleraine, the number 9 seed. So clearly you think Notre Dame will be the winner of that district. The next district, you got Loveland, Lebanon, Centerville, and Tecumseh. Oh, wait.
Centerville, Tecumseh's already happened.
Yet. So we got Centerville and who? Lebanon? Did they?
Lebanon, yeah.
I thought I saw Coach Parker tweet that they lost last night.
No, I believe Lebanon pulled the upset last night, or what some people may call an upset.
So you got Lebanon, Centerville. Who you got there?
Centerville.
Moving on to the next. Oh, finally it's updated. Oh, Wayne and Princeton. Well, I think you already answered that one.
Yep.
And then the last district, Springboro and Mason.
That's going to be a knockout. To me, that's a coin flip.
Okay.
Mason's playing really well right now, so I'm going Mason.
I mean, they handled Lakota West last night. I saw it on Twitter.
30-point win doesn't happen very often to Lakota West.
No, sir.
Especially with Chance Gray.
Let's go to some of these Division II. Roger Bacon. Oh, that game's probably already been played. So I'm guessing Bacon won. Bacon and Baden?
Bacon.
Oh, that's the Central District. We got Valley View and Trotwood Madison.
That's going to be a really good game, but I'm going to go with Valley View.
Going with Valley View. And then the last one, Dayton Carroll, and I don't know who won that game. Mount Healthy or Country Day?
Ooh, if Cincinnati Country Day is always a tough program, but I got to go with Dayton Carroll. They're very well coached and they defend.
Were you and I talking about Dayton Carroll earlier? Yeah, when we were on the phone.
Yeah.
I knew the name came up recently.
I mean, they have historically a good program, but last year they were a Final Four team, and they've got some kids who are a part of that, so they know what it takes to get to that level again.
Yeah. Well, let's take a couple minutes to talk about Bree Hall. She won McDonald's All-American, which is a heck of an accomplishment. What is it? You've coached Bree on with Sports City. Have you been with them for 2 years now?
Yep, this will be my 3rd season with them.
Okay. Well, what makes and we talked to Coach Trice much earlier in the year.
Okay.
Bree a little bit. So now we're going to get an opportunity to talk to you about her. What is it about Bree Hall that took her to the level of one of the top 24 kids in the country?
So when she was a freshman, I mean, her Wayne team was loaded then, and she was more known as a defensive player. And I think from her freshman year to now, her offensive game has become, it's unstoppable. Last year, she added more of a consistent 3-point shot, and that's really shown. I mean, athletically, she's one of the top in the country. She can rebound, she can defend. Whatever you need her to do, she'll do. She can hit a 3. She'll drive. She makes free throws at a high percentage.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, adding the more complete offense, because she's always been able to be a driver, slasher type player, but now she can shoot it. And I mean, she's just, it's hard to guard at 6 foot tall. And
what is it like? Again, we kind of mentioned this earlier in the show. You've gotten to coach 2 McDonald's All-Americans now. With Westbeld last year at Fairmont. And now you had Bree a couple last summers. What is it like to coach a player like that, of that caliber? Maybe not specifically with Bree, but just a kid of that kind of, with that kind of talent. How does it go as a coach? I mean, it's got to be kind of, she could beat you one-on-one. So
yeah, no, the crazy thing about these kids that I don't know if a lot of people realize is, I mean, you don't really have to coach them in sense of they're always in the gym. Like, you don't have to ask them to do extra. They're just always doing extra. Madeline Westbeld wants to shoot at 6 o'clock in the morning before school, then after practice, she's doing another workout.
Yeah.
And the same with Bree. I mean, she has someone she works out with, and these kids, this is just part of their day. It's what they want to do. And so, practice for 2 hours, they know that it takes a whole lot more than that to get to these type of goals.
All right, I'm going to put you on the hot seat. Last question of the night.
All right.
Tell us something funny about Coach Jeremy Finn. I want to hear a funny story about Coach Finn.
Ooh.
I don't know if he's listening. He might be listening, so
that's all right. He won't be too upset with me about this. So a lot of people don't know Coach Finn used to coach boys.
And he's also a Michigan fan, which sucks, but
we won't go into that. But Coach Finn was my basketball coach my senior year.
Oh.
So that's the relationship there. And we're at halftime of a game, and it's not going so well against a team that we should be blowing out. And he comes in the locker room, and he gets pretty upset with us. And he has a Gatorade cup of water in his hand, and some water spills, and he steps on the water and almost trips and falls. And we start laughing a little bit, and then he gets even more upset with us. And we come out of the locker room, and I think we win the game by like 30. So he kind of put the fear of God in us then, and we like to joke with him now, because another one of our assistants at Fairmont also played for him, that he's gotten a lot softer with the girls. But it's probably better that way.
So when he slipped on that water, did he literally fall, or he almost fell?
No, he almost fell. He caught himself. He had good balance. He was shooting at our point guard, who was a walk-on at Northern Kentucky. So he let him know what he needed to be doing better.
Well, it's probably got to be a little tough to keep the seriousness and the anger when you literally almost fall on your ass.
Yeah, in front of your whole team, and he kept his face as straight and serious as possible. So,
oh man, what a guy! What a guy! I think very highly of Coach Finn, and
he's one of the best for sure.
He is a great dude, and I kind of missed you guys up at the Classic this year. That's generally my only opportunities to see you guys. But
you gotta come down to Trent, the best facility in the state.
Well,
high school basketball.
Now that state finals are back in Dayton,
yes, sir.
I'm gonna have to contact Coach Finn, and you guys can show me around. I'd love to see it.
Yeah, you've got a ticket anytime if you can ever make it down for a weekend game.
I was gonna say, but I commit to coming down to a game next year. I talked to you guys this past summer, and I was going to make it. I was going to try to make it down, but with all the COVID stuff, it just makes everything tougher. And
yep,
I know you couldn't get me in the door, but you never know what people's attendance is like, and so
we got a couple kids I think you'd like. So I know Mal, and I think we got a couple young kids I think you'd like. So
well, yeah, I need you to talk to Mal, because I would love to have that kid at All Ohio camp on March 14th. So I know she's a player, so make that happen for me.
I'll see what I can do. I'll talk to her.
All right, man. Well, again, thank you for your time. Thanks for coming on to host with me. You did a great job. It's always nice to be able to talk to somebody else and not just myself.
I appreciate it. Anytime I'm available.
Oh, I will be calling you to jump on at some point. I got like a little, round robin list of people that come on with me.
I'm sure you got an all-star list. So if you can just work me on at the bottom somewhere, that's fine.
Oh man. Well, again, I appreciate it. Thanks for your time and everybody who listened. I mean, we had a solid viewers the whole time. So
good.
Still right now, it's pretty high.
Is it?
So everybody who stuck it out, thank you. We'll have another great show for you next Tuesday. And remember, do something kind for somebody. Be nice to others. And don't be fake.